You think you know the story of the 300 Spartans, the glorious last stand at Thermopylae. Prepare to have your mind blown, because almost everything you've been told is a carefully constructed lie. This isn't a story about heroes. This is the story of Leonidas, the efficient monster of Sparta. The popular legend paints a picture of 300 brave warriors holding back 1,000,000 Persians. It's a powerful image, a symbol of freedom against tyranny. But what if I told you this myth was created to hide a horrifying truth? What if the real Sparta was a brutal, totalitarian state built on slavery and murder, and Leonidas was its chief enforcer? To understand Leonidas, you have to understand Sparta. Forget the glorious city-state from the movies. The Spartan reality was a constant state of terror. The Spartans were a tiny minority, outnumbered by their slaves, the Helots, by a staggering 7-1. How did they maintain control? Through pure, unadulterated fear. This is where the cryptia comes in. Imagine a secret police, but made of teenagers. Spartan youths were sent into the countryside at night with one mission: to hunt and murder Helots. This wasn't random violence. It was a state-sponsored terror program designed to keep the enslaved population broken and terrified. It was a rite of passage, and a man like Leonidas, destined for leadership, would have not only participated, but likely excelled in this brutal practice. He was a product of this system, shaped by it, to become its ultimate guardian. And how were these killers made? Through a system of institutionalized child abuse called the agora. From the age of 7, Spartan boys were ripped from their families and thrown into a brutal training regimen that was less about education and more about systematic torture. They were starved, beaten, and forced to fight each other, sometimes to the death. The goal wasn't to create well-rounded citizens. It was to break their humanity and forge them into unthinking, unfeeling killing machines. This was Leonidas's childhood. This was his entire world. Leonidas didn't inherit his throne easily. He was a second son, and only became king after his older half-brother, the rightful heir, died under mysterious and convenient circumstances. Sounds suspicious? It should. Once in power, Leonidas didn't just maintain the agora. He intensified it. He doubled down on the cruelty, ensuring the next generation of Spartans would be even more ruthless than his own. He wasn't just a king. He was the architect of an even more brutal Sparta. Now, let's get to the Battle of Thermopylae. The story of 300 Spartans is just that, a story. The reality is far more complex and far more cynical. Historical records show the Greek force was actually over 7,000 strong. And crucially, alongside the 300 Spartans were at least 2,100 Helots. Why were they there? Not to fight for freedom. They were brought as human shields, baggage carriers, and disposable bodies to absorb the first waves of the Persian attack. Think about it. Why would a master strategist like Leonidas place his tiny force in a valley with a well-known secret mountain path that could easily be used to flank them? The traditional story says he was betrayed. The far more chilling reality is that he knew about the path all along. The Battle of Thermopylae wasn't a heroic last stand. It was a calculated, mass-suicidal PR stunt. Leonidas needed a legend. He needed to create an immortal story of Spartan bravery to inspire future generations and solidify his control. So, he orchestrated a glorious defeat. When he knew the end was near, he sent most of his Greek allies away. But who did he keep? His 300 Spartans, a contingent of Thebans he suspected of being Persian sympathizers, and of course the Helots. As the final battle loomed, Leonidas gave a horrific order. Before the Persians could finish them off, the Spartans turned on the surviving Helots and Thebans. They systematically slaughtered their own allies. Why? To eliminate witnesses. No one could be left to tell the true story of what happened at that pass. No one could reveal that the Helots were used as cannon fodder. The only narrative that could survive was the Spartan one. Archaeological evidence from the site supports this dark version of events. The skeletons of the Helots show signs of severe malnutrition and were found in positions that suggest they were placed at the very front lines, forced to bear the brunt of the Persian onslaught. They weren't fighting alongside the Spartans. They were a human wall protecting them. In the aftermath, the propaganda machine went into overdrive. The surviving Spartans, and historians sympathetic to their cause, crafted the myth we know today: 300 heroes against 1,000,000 invaders. They erased their 7,000 Greek allies from the story. They completely erased the 2,100 Helot slaves who died for a cause they never believed in, murdered by the very men they were forced to serve. The legend of the 300 worked. It inspired Greece and became a cornerstone of Western history. But it's a legend built on lies, glorifying the enforcers of a slave state. The brutal system Leonidas fought to preserve was ultimately unsustainable. Sparta's cruelty rotted it from the inside out, and within a few generations, its power crumbled into dust. So the next time you hear the story of Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, remember the real story. Remember the thousands of others who were there. Remember the helots, sacrificed and then erased from history. The story of Thermopylae isn't a tale of heroism. It's a chilling reminder of how history is written by the victors, and how even the most monstrous acts can be repackaged as a glorious myth. Thanks for watching. If this video changed how you see ancient history, hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden truths. See you next time.